coming. For those who don't know, I'm James. I'm the Member of Parliament for Rushcliffe, and I really appreciate that so many people have come down today to talk about Junction 24, but also more generally the opportunity that exists in our region in the East Midlands. I do chair the East Midlands All-Party Parliamentary Group, so I like to think that I'm not just here to discuss Ratcliffe-on-Soar, but of course that is a great growth opportunity for Rushcliffe, but we're here to talk about the region more generally. So thank you for coming to be part of that conversation. I will say, however, the MP that was most enthused by today's event was not from Nottinghamshire or Leicestershire or Derbyshire, but it was Jacob Collier, who was very keen to talk to the Mayor about the A50 500 corridor. Can I check that he's done that? He's already done that. So he was the very first to reply and say that he would be joining. So Jacob, I'm really pleased that he's had your conversation with the Mayor, and actually I've just heard him here say that he'll make sure he gets a photo with the Minister as well to talk about the A50 500 corridor. I'm sure we will all agree that the East Midlands is already a powerhouse in the UK economy. We're a region of around 5.1 million people, home to over 400,000 businesses, generating £147 billion of output, which is about 6% of the UK economy. We make things, we export, we keep national supply chains moving, and this is of course very much at the heart of today's conversation. And we host some nationally important clusters, whether that's advanced manufacturing or logistics, space engineering in Leicester, biomedical sciences in Nottingham, and of course nuclear engineering in Derby. And I saw Catherine arrive, and I'm sure she'll be here. Pleased to hear Derby being mentioned. The question for all of us really, and especially for MPs here in Parliament, is not whether the East Midlands can deliver. The question is, what could we deliver? Is our government prepared to back the East Midlands to deliver even more than it does today? And I would like to thank my fellow MPs. I believe we are working effectively together to make sure that that happens. Because despite the strength here and the strength of many organisations in this room, the truth is that our region has faced long-term underinvestment, particularly when it comes to transport. So the latest public expenditure analysis shows that transport spend per head in the East Midlands is just 54% of the UK average. That has never been good enough. And of course, when we see some of the projects being announced around the country, there is a risk that that percentage gets even worse. And that gap has consequences for connectivity, consequences for productivity, and ultimately consequences for competitiveness and growth. And so it's no surprise that really productivity in the East Midlands has been static for 2 decades. I believe that we have the talent, I believe that we have the enterprise, but what we need to make sure is that we have the infrastructure underneath us which is able to match that potential. And that's why today matters. So among other things, there will be lots of discussion, but we are here today to talk about Junction 24 of the M1 and how that must be treated as a nationally significant project and progressed with urgency during this Parliament. And I've been asked to underline 3 messages which I hope that every speaker and every conversation today recognises. The first is that the East Midlands is aligned and investment ready. The fact that we're in this room together, the fact that we've got our mayor here, the fact that there's local authority leadership, the fact that the Freeport has put on this event, the fact that there are major employers in this room, it all demonstrates that we are aligned and we want to see our region grow. The East Midlands Freeport specifically is not just a concept, it's a practical programme with sites, partners and a pipeline of investment. It is ready to move at pace and it is ready to work with the government, and I want to see the government match that ambition. Secondly, Junction 24. I would say Junction 24 is not a local issue. In fact, it is a national network issue. It's not just a minor pinch point, it's something that ultimately shapes the strategic road network, not only within the East Midlands, but arguably beyond it. And when you've got East Midlands Airport, you've got a key manufacturing hub, you've got logistics businesses all around that area, you've got the likes of Toyota nearby, we need to make sure that the constraints on that junction are addressed. It's not just commuters who feel it, it's businesses, and ultimately it's the UK economy. And thirdly, decisions determine ultimately where jobs and growth goes. The Freeport's proposition is clear. 28,000 jobs, £9 billion of GVA are within reach. But there's nothing automatic that will guarantee that those figures are realised. Investors ultimately have choices, and I want to make sure that their choice is to invest into the East Midlands and nowhere else. And the truth is, if we allow the unreliability and the congestion around Junction 24 to continue, then the chances are that some investors will not choose our region, and those jobs and that investment will go elsewhere. So ultimately today is about partnership. It's about making sure that local government, the combined authority, industry, national government, members of parliament are all working together and pushing in the same direction in a way that arguably the East Midlands has failed to do historically. And I see we've got another Derby MP entering the room right now as well. And we should be clear, progress is happening. We are seeing investment, doubling rail services between Lincoln, Newark and Nottingham. We've seen commitments to the A46 Newark bypass, commitments to the A38. So there are some good stories to tell for our region. But I really want to emphasise that we need to unlock the potential of the Freeport, and Junction 24 sits at the heart of that. So thank you everybody for coming today. I believe that I'm handing over to Claire, who will share her thoughts on this particular conundrum that we face, and I'm sure she'll have something very interesting to say. Thank you, Claire.